Good evening, and this video is really for all car enthusiasts. My good friend Chris from Bempton in Bridlington has sent me his wee video about the John Dodds Beast car, and just before you hear what Chris has to say, here's a few photographs of this vehicle, and hope you enjoy this wee video and a few wee shots of this amazing creation, car creation.
Morning, Tom. It's the 13th of January, Friday, and this is a bit different today because I'm going to show you a scrapbook that I did a few years ago, well, one of four actually, on Rolls-Royce cars, and I found this article in this particular one, and it's a story about an unusual fella called John Dodd. He was born in 1932 in Epsom, and he after he came out of the RAF, he started an automatic gearbox company, basically supplying gearboxes all around the world. And he was approached by a fella called Paul Jameson, who had built this car chassis, and he was after a gearbox for it, and this car was built to take a Merlin aircraft engine. So Dodd got himself involved in this, and they got this car built, and he adorned it by putting on a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow grille, complete with mascot, on this car, and got himself in all sorts of trouble with Rolls-Royce. He actually had a connection with Rolls-Royce before he started his own business. This car subsequently caught fire in 1975 and was practically written off. So he built a second one, and the bodywork was fiberglass, and as I say, the engine was a Merlin. So I'll just read you some of the stuff that he used to build the second car. The windscreen was from a Jensen Interceptor. The doors were cast from those of a Cortina Mark III. The rear hatch had been modified but is derived from an Austin Maxi, and the rear light units are Capri Mark I's. The gear selector was from a Ford Granada. The gauges used were from a Jaguar, but they kept failing, so he used some American units. The back end is derived from a Jaguar XJ12, and the front suspension is a heavily modified Austin Westminster setup, and the gearbox is out of a Silver Shadow. So he got this car going, and I'm just going to now show you some pictures from the scrapbook and do a few more comments. So yeah, here we have a picture of the actual beast itself, Tom. I'm sorry it's a little bit creased up, but the page of the article was quite big, so I've had to sort of fold things over to get it in the book. I'll just scan down here so you can read a bit of the on the road article. They must have had a lot of fun doing this. I have to excuse my throat a bit. I'm still getting over this chest infection. Aren't we all? Absolutely amazing. Little picture of the interior there. The beast in numbers. Incredible. So it basically really was basically just a chassis and then the body was added on and all the rest of this. And here we have a picture of the Merlin engine. And this is an interesting bit here. Sorry about the page turning over. The vital statistics. I mean, that was some engine, wasn't it, really? I mean, just incredible. I mean, the torque and everything. A top speed of 268 miles an hour. And of course the gearbox, I say, was out of a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 3-speed automatic box. Look at the amount of oil that the engine took, 200 pints. Gearbox 19.5 pints. Axle, rear axle of course, 2.25, 3/4 rather. And here's the finished product. John with his first wife, with the Rolls-Royce grille and mascot. I think it looks terrific, I really do. I like people like this, and he must have had great fun out of doing this. But as I say, he did get himself into a lot of trouble with Rolls-Royce. Here's a summary basically of the court case. I mean, he ended up emigrating to Spain, but he was still fined £10,000 and £10,000 in costs, and he was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment for contempt of court. I don't know whether he ever served that sentence at all, but right up to this article being published in 2014, he still came over to the UK with the car to shows and things like that. So, and I think he was 81 when this article was written. Whether he's still with us or not, I don't know. I hope he is. I'd love to have met this guy. I think he's a character right up your street as well, Tom. So there we are, Mr. John Dodd and his beast. Okay, Tom, I'll sign off now. Bye-bye.
I widely believe that John Dodds took this car to Germany and road tested it on the Autobahn, no less. And the German authorities were not very impressed by this, and they contacted Rolls-Royce, who didn't know anything about this, and John had no connection to Rolls-Royce as such, but he got into an awful lot of trouble with Rolls-Royce. I just love the madness and the eccentricity of this. Reminds me about that Johnny Cash song about the guy working in the factory who hadn't got enough money to buy a car, and he takes pieces of cars home and the song is called One Piece at a Time, and now he builds them all together, and of course they're all from different models, and they don't fit, but he cobbles them together and ends up with something like the John Dodds Beast. Reminds me of that Johnny Cash song, One Piece at a Time, about the factory owner. And just a few shots of John Dodds' extraordinary beast car.